Okay, if you like this video, subscribe to my channel, but let's get right to it. So I recorded an entire video, and then for some reason there was a hiccup with the audio in the beginning, and so I'm going to talk for a little bit, and then it's going to cut into the second video. Sorry, guys, but there was some kind of glitch in the matrix. Let's talk about the latest episode of The Mandalorian, Tragedy. Spoilers, guys. If you haven't watched the episode yet, don't watch this, okay? I'll touch on a couple of things, and then it'll jump right into the other video. And it was mostly, I was on a thought track about Boba Fett. But one of the things that I loved about the episode, and I'm jumping all around, but the first time the Slave One appeared and it came across the sky, I was like, oh, that's the Slave One. Because one of the things at the water cooler at work we were talking about was, after what happened, obviously he's had the Slave One all these years. And I was like, well, if he's on Tatooine, does he not have the Slave One? And, it kind of was explained, I've been tracking you, Mandalorian. And I was like, oh, he's been tracking him. That's kind of cool. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed everything with Boba Fett. I love the dialogue. I love how it explained everything about the armor and how it was passed down. And one of the things that I thought was really cool was his explanation of Django being a foundling, which makes him exactly what Din was a foundling that was found after a battle, and his parents were killed and he was orphaned, and he was taken in by the Mandalorians. So the fact that Django was a foundling and he was gifted the Boba Fett or the original armor, Django's armor, which was later repainted over time and everything to be Boba Fett's armor, really fantastic stuff. I like that we got to see things that the Boba Fett armor could do that we'd never seen before, like the knees, shooting the rockets, and all that kind of stuff. All right, and so I think that's kind of where I left off, and we're going to jump right into the next video. But you find out that Django was a foundling. So then it kind of makes this whole thing a little bit, come full circle for the characters. I love the line, he says, so who are you? And he's like, I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the galaxy. That's the same line that Django said when Obi-Wan Kenobi confronted him. And I thought, wow, to be able to say that line again, which was in the prequels, Attack of the Clones, was just fantastic. And what's really interesting is because so much time has passed between when Tamora Morrison played Django and now what he looks like now with the shaved head, the scarred head, everything, obviously from the Sarlacc pit, maybe the stomach acid, burned his face and everything. He looked like a different person to a point where you it's like you can separate Django from him and not be like, oh, that's just the same actor playing the same guy. No, it's like it's the way the performances were presented that make them seem like they're completely different characters. And so I really dug everything. And what we finally were able to see was the Boba Fett we've all heard about but never seen, because if you go back to the original trilogy, the special edition, they dropped in Boba Fett in that one shot, just to kind of make him sprinkled throughout the entire original trilogy with Jabba the Hutt, with Han Solo, that added scene. And then, in Empire Strikes Back, he really didn't do much other than, take a pot shot at Luke Skywalker to kind of guide Luke into going into the carbonite chamber. And he had the sinister voice and all that. They later redubbed it with Tamora Morrison in Empire Strikes Back. And then, of course, in Jedi, again, he just, he was there. He did the nod. He had the quick draw but never shot because Jabba didn't let him. And then, of course, he gets taken out, Boba Fett, where? And then falls into the Sarlacc pit. And then he goes out on a joke with the burp, the Sarlacc pit burps. And it took this guy that, like, in our heads as an audience member, without all the Legends books and all the other kind of stuff that they put out back in the day explaining who Boba Fett was or his adventures as a bounty hunter, we were left with this, like, he got chumped out, but to see him take down these stormtroopers the way he was doing it, so brutal, if not just as brutal as does, the Mandalorian, when he's confronting stormtroopers or villains. Totally, totally badass, totally on a level that we've never seen before, and gives us the Boba Fett that we always wanted. Destroying the Razor Crest sucked, but obviously now he's going to be on the Slave One, the Mandalorian, with Boba Fett and with the other bounty hunter, the female bounty hunter. Her name is slipping my mind. Sorry, guys. You know, just a lot like James Bond, you know, in one of the James Bond films. It's like, if you want to handicap the hero, you take away his vehicle. It's something that people attach to, like whether it's the Batmobile gets destroyed in a Batman movie, or the DB5 in the James Bond film gets destroyed in Skyfall, or, you know, that's it. You know, I mean, I think even when the sequel trilogy was coming out, there were rumors that the Millennium Falcon was going to get destroyed in the last film. And I was like, God, you can't destroy the Millennium Falcon. Like, you just can't do that. And there was this big fear that was going to be the deal. So the Razor Crest being taken out is really sad, because now that cool ship never is going to exist again, unless maybe he finds another Razor Crest like class ship and picks one up later on. But I think we'll get a whole new ship altogether. Robert Rodriguez, they threw in the boulder going down the hill, which was a lot like a paying homage to Raiders of the Lost Ark, as the boulder kept going. You know, it's running over people. I thought that was kind of cool. I thought it was interesting that Boba Fett, you know, he saves the bounty hunter, the female bounty hunter, with the robotics, where she was shot in the stomach and all that stuff, repairs her, and then she has this life debt to him and to Boba. And, you know, Boba makes a deal. See, the thing about this whole series, which I find is really cool, is there really is a code of ethics for whether it's the Mandalorians or whether it's Boba Fett, or even when they humanized the Sand People, giving these guys these codes of ethics where, like, hey, you know, the Sand People, the Tusken Raiders, were like, you know, we won't invade and pillage your village anymore if you help us kill the Sand Dragon. And if you break the deal, that's the only way we'll come and raid your place. And I thought, oh, wow, these guys have a code of ethics. They have like an honor system. And I think it's cool that like every faction seems to have their own little thing. And then you look at, you know, the Wookiees, when Han Solo saved Chewbacca, Chewbacca is in a life debt to Han. One of the things I'll touch back on with Boba Fett was there was a line, and I can't remember the exact dialogue, but he says something like, you know, circumstances happen to people and we move on from those circumstances. And it was basically an explanation of the Sarlacc pit without explaining what happened at the Sarlacc pit. Did he blast his way out of his guts? Was it very similar to the Sand Dragon, where the Mandalorian flew out and his Beskar metal protected, you know, from any kind of stomach acid or whatever happened. Like, one of the things I didn't want them to do is explain how he escaped the Sarlacc pit, because we don't need to know every single detail. Leave something up to the imagination. And so I thought it was really cool that he touched on it in a way that it was like, yeah, things happen, but, you know, I'm all good now, in the dialogue. I thought that was great. And something that I found interesting is I feel like they're forming a team. Okay, so you've got your female bounty hunter, and I'm sorry, I keep forgetting that character's name. It's early this morning on Sunday, and I'm trying to wake up. And then they talked about going after Bill Burr's character and springing him because they needed a tracker. So then you've got Boba Fett, you've got the Mandalorian, Din, you've got Bill Burr, and then you've got this female character. The only thing they're missing really is like a droid, you know, or some other character like that to kind of balance out the four of them. And so now I feel like Jon Favreau has been quoted as saying he felt that the Mandalorian show itself would go 3 seasons, 8 episode seasons. 24 episodes is all we're going to get before the show's wrapped up. Because look, they've got the Cassian Andor series coming out. They've got probably the Ahsoka Tano series, where I think she'll be going after Grand Admiral Thrawn in her series. And then what happens when they finally pass off Grogu to a Jedi? And so my thinking is that they're forming a team, because then maybe the show will spin off to just be bounty hunters, And I think back when they were trying to get a Boba Fett movie off the ground, a feature film, a Star Wars story, I think a lot of what we're seeing between the story of what the Mandalorian is and the introduction of Boba Fett, I think this was probably a version of what the Boba Fett movie would have been if they would have kept going. But obviously, they didn't go with Josh Trank to do that, because he was kind of a little bit of a hellion, a troublemaker, and at least that's what we know through the grapevine. I've got friends that worked on Fantastic Four, and the guy, nah. So I think Lucasfilm dodged a bullet with that one. But I think that that's what we're getting. And then if it morphs into this thing with just the bounty hunters, I just hope that we don't finally get Boba Fett and then they kill him in the next episode and then he's finally dead. I hope they don't go that route. I hope they let Tamora Morrison keep playing this character for a little while more, because I think he's doing a fantastic job. The Dark Troopers, here's the problem I have with the Dark Troopers. I didn't feel any sense of fear or threat while watching the sequence where they shot down and grabbed Grogu and took him up. It felt like Iron Man, 4 Iron Man drones, from Iron Man 3, that just flew down, grabbed him, and took him away. There was no sense of, I just had no sense of fear. No, oh my God, look, or oh, they're evil, or God, I had nothing. I felt absolutely nothing in that scene. So I hope that the Dark Troopers get a little bit more to do, which gives us a sense of, like, from a writing standpoint, like a fear. Like, you really need to fear these guys, because, like, the Dark Troopers that were in Rogue One that had that weird way of talking, those troopers, they were kind of intimidating and scary, and you were like, oh, these are a different type of troopers. They are a squadron of, like, really badass guys. And so you didn't get that with these Dark Troopers, the robotic Dark Troopers. You just didn't get that at all. The Stormtroopers, there was a couple of shots where the CGI looked a little weak. And some of the CGI Stormtroopers, actually, when they were climbing along the boulders and then climbing into the back of the ship that took off, they looked a little too prequel trilogy clone trooper CGI. I get it must have been a financial thing or whatever, or they thought they could get away with it. That's fine. I mean, it's a TV series. You can't spend all the money that you would spend on rendering and getting it completely photorealistic. And obviously, if they've already had an episode in season 1 where they used 501st people to come out, because there was a lack of armor. I will say the way Boba Fett kicked the shit out of these stormtroopers and even just imploded and crushed the stormtrooper helmets of that one guy when the camera panned over after he hit him right in the face. I mean, he was brutal, and the way the armor just chipped apart and broke apart was just great. I mean, great storytelling. I guess, I'll wrap it up. The only thing I will say, the one thing that bothers me about this show, and I've said it on almost every episode, is the runtime. It was 33 minutes. I get it. I've had other conversations with friends on the TV show that I'm working on now, about runtime, and that, like, I want a consistent 45 minutes or 50-minute episode every time. And they were like, well, if you can tell the story in a shorter amount of time, that's fine. And I'm thinking maybe because we're coming up on the last episode that They are going to make that a longer episode. So maybe they took some of this 33-minute episode and are going to tack it on to the last one to make the last one like 50 minutes. But the inconsistencies with the runtimes really bother me with this show, because I feel like we just get to a point where it's getting good, and then all of a sudden it just, the episode stops. And I get the cliffhanger, same thing, with like what Lucas originally wanted to do, these serialized things that always have cliffhangers, always have cliffhangers. You're always waiting for the next episode. Oh, and one other thing is Grogu, when he was basically bitch slapping all of the stormtroopers in the cell, that was fantastic. But one of my friends pointed out that one of the things he was doing, and, Luke Skywalker did it in Return of the Jedi to the Gamorrean guards, he choked them out, which really didn't seem like a Jedi trait. It was going a little dark, and Grogu is slamming these guys, these stormtroopers, from wall to wall, and then choking them out. And he's already choked out Cara Dune, and so he's a little suspicious, because he kind of goes dark when he wants to mess something up. He goes dark, like he doesn't. There's no Jedi mind trick going on with Grogu yet. Like, he can't control his fear, his anger. He's choking somebody out. And so I'm hoping with him meditating on the rock, he got something going in. And I've got another theory about where everything's going, but I'm going to do that in another video. What did you guys think? Let's talk about stuff in the comments section. Tell me what you think. Do you think they're assembling a team for the next show, which will be straight bounty hunters? We'll have to see. Let's hope Tamora Morrison doesn't finally meet his end in the next episode. But I really think that they're, because Grogu is probably going to leave this show, they're forming the next show in the narrative. But also, one other thing. I keep doing this. One other thing. I feel like you've got Tamora Morrison, so you've got somebody, from Australia with a little bit of that Aborigine kind of background. You've got Din, who Pedro Pascal is Hispanic. You've got the Asian female bounty hunter. I apologize, I can't remember her name. Somebody tell me in the comment section of this video. I'll probably Google when I'm done. And I feel like, some people could say they're checking boxes, but just like Rogue One, they're peppering the film or the program, the television show, with people from different countries, because people forget that Star Wars is global. And, like in the Cassian Andor series, Diego Luna is huge in South America, so Pedro Pascal. So you've got to hit the Asian market. You have to hit all these markets, and they're checking boxes, but they're doing it in a story format that doesn't say, hey, we're checking boxes. They just do a great story, and it works. And that's all we've ever wanted with Star Wars. You can have all the diversity, you can have everything you want, the messaging and everything, but if you don't have a good story that is just all encompassing, and you have to pound over people's heads, hey, look, we've got an Asian actor in here now. Or look, hey, we've got, you get what I'm saying. If you tell a good story, you don't have to message. You don't have to put messaging in your thing. People will get it. And that's all we've ever wanted with Star Wars. So, good story writing. It was written by this last episode, written by Jon Favreau, directed by Robert Rodriguez. Loved it. Not as good as Dave Filoni, written and directed last episode, but it's really good. And I will say, I've been working a lot, on this TV show. We're wearing N95 masks for 12 hours a day. And so now I've got this ridge on my nose, a lot like what you would see the first responders, the people, the nurses and, doctors and stuff. Obviously I'm not saving lives, hats off to them, but a lot of the crew on the TV show we're working on now, 12-hour shifts, some of us 14-hour shifts, depending on when we come in the morning, in the middle of the night to set up base camp and stuff like that. We're wearing these N95s. And then one day I got a lot of sun and I had like a tan line. when I at the end of the day when I took the N95 off, it looked like I looked like a breast that was in a bikini, and the bikini came off, and and I thought it was hysterical. My face was like that, but we're all protecting ourselves and doing a great job. They're doing a great job on this show that I'm working on because of the COVID crisis. So everybody stay safe, and this may get worse over time, but it is what it is. We'll see you on the next one.